special guest.
Wow, okay.
Kita clubbing malam ni ya.
Clubbing dah. So, Zaidi, Andy.
Good evening, how are you? Yeah.
Alright.
Sembayang malam ni mau sembayang.
Min punya semayang banyak panjang
Ya, malam ni kena sembayang Apek.
Sembayang apa? Tiap-tiap hari pun kena sembayang lah.
Special tau. Hari ni 14/7.
Oh ya betul.
Oh, yeah.
Kawan ya dia kedai dia ada sembayang
Okey lah, malam 7 tu bulan hantu lah ni kau.
Bulan hantu.
Mau cakap kebudayaan ke pelancongan?
Okey. Kita sudah mula jam 9 malam. Apa kata kita mula, kita santai-santai. Kita malam ini kita lupakan masalah-masalah. Kita cerita mengenai tourism. Janganlah serius-serius sangat. Kita borak-borak dengan tetamu kita tetamu khas kita. Ini rakan-rakan lama kita ingin jemput rakan lama kita di Hau ataupun dikenali sebagai APEK CINA.
APEK CINA.
So we are here APEK. We are here together with our panelists. Yong, we have Andy.
Hi.
President of Malaysia Hotel Association
Hotel.
Chapter.
Yes.
Ini orang cakap hotel. Jangan cakap buruk pasal hotel.
tak apa. We can accept critical.
Kita ada panelis kita daripada all the way dalam Langkawi.
Dahsyat.
Okey, chalet di Pantai Cenang. Jangan condemn Langkawi. Kita tahu tapi itu sekarang ni kita mau bincang-bincang borak-borak. So saya ingin jemputlah saudara Atai Zihau.
Ya, saya. Terima kasih kerana menjemput saya untuk borak-borak.
Semua terbuka. Alright.
Welcome. Hey, first question. How you get the APEK name?
Actually, it's a good start. There's a story about that when I the first question, nak buat bahasa Melayu ke bahasa Inggeris?
Tak kisah campur, rojak.
Ya, rojak.
Okey, dia macam ni lah. Kalau soalan tu English aja, why English lah kan? Tanya kenapa APEK CINA, why I use the word APEK CINA.
Yeah.
As a social media user, when I want to build a brand for myself, I want it to be as easy as possible. So when I was thinking of a name, I started with translating Chinese papers into Malay, so to enhance the mutual understanding among races, right? So the full name was Ulasan Akbar Cina oleh APEK CINA. So my housemate is a musician, you see. Mr. Wong, he's a musician. When he did the intro, the opening intro for me, he do it accidentally as Ulasan APEK CINA. I thought I liked it, so I just adopted it.
Okay.
August 2018.
Alright. That's good.
APEK is it's a demeaning word, you see, for a lot of people in Malaysia. They don't like you. They say, hey APEK, itu APEK, right? So I try to use it as a way to positify it.
It's good. It's very unique.
Sound positive, you know.
Yeah, it's unique.
Andy, you sounded very soft over here.
Is it? Can you hear?
Yeah, now okay now.
Alright.
APEK CINA. Ini kita mau tanya, sekarang APEK tu memang Cina punya lah Adakah APEK Melayu? Adakah APEK India?
Okay, APEK ni dia maksud dia angka tua lah. So angka dalam bahasa Hokkien tu APEK lah. Okey,
kawan-kawan, rakan-rakan yang ada pada malam ini, sila klik yang plus point untuk kita jemput rakan-rakan kita yang lain untuk hadiri kita borak-borak santai-santai hari Sabtu ni. Kita tahu hari minggu ini minggu ini sangat-sangat tension, semua pressure kita pasal tourism, kita pasal semua. Jadi kita hari ni malam ni kita relax kalau boleh siapa mau nyanyi kita boleh kasih nyanyi, siapa mau menyairkan pantun ke semua boleh. Min mau semayang dia boleh semayang. Dan lain-lain kalau mau angkat mau cakap sikit, you can just angkat tangan dan saya akan bawa you all ke unmute your mic and bawa ke stage Sekarang tetamu khas sekali hari ini adalah Tai Zihao ataupun dikenali ramai ya, APEK CINA. APEK CINA ni kalau kita Google sangat sensasi. Macam-macam dia cakap. Tetapi sebenarnya Tai Zihao ni sangat orang yang baik dan dia sangat straightforward. Kalau betul dia cakap betul. Kalau tak betul cakap tak betul. That's what I like about him is apa katakan kawan ke ataupun apa, kalau musuh kata betul dia kata betul. That's how it is. So Zihao, how's things going on? Currently adakah you very busy with your legal profession? Adakah you masih mengayau-ngayau lagi ke ataupun apa you buat sekarang?
Yalah, legal profession because since few weeks ago, yang mahkamah ni dulu dia tertunda, banyak kes tertunggak kan. Tiba-tiba dia buka, so banyak kes mahkamah lah. So social media pun nampak saya buat video kurang sikit sebab sangkut dengan kes mahkamah saya dah kata itu. Lepas tu excited sangat dengan perkembangan politik kan. Tidak lupa tu, saya tiap-tiap hari duduk rumah tengok YouTube nak tengok melancong ke mana. Itu masalah dia. Itu memang busy tu. Tiap-tiap hari tu 1 jam 2 jam tengok Cameron Highland, tengok Kota Kinabalu, tengok Tioman, tengok apa. Sekarang waktu PKP ni kalau nak travel dekat pun kita syukur alhamdulillah lah kan. So my next trip saya bincang dengan housemate, dengan abang semua tu, Fraser Hill ke nak Cameron Highland itu memang satu pilihan yang susah lah.
Kenapa Apek you suka tinggi-tinggi ya?
Saya suka tempat sejuk-sejuk, bukan tinggi-tinggi, sejuk.
Rendah-rendah ya.
Masuk laut mari PD. Mari Botikson.
Tinggi-tinggi. Nak sejuk-sejuk.
Sejuk.
Mungkin tempat
seorang buat apa? You bukan ada orang. You seorang saja apa you mau buat? Sejuk.
Masa Covid ni janganlah ramai-ramai. Walaupun kalau boleh buka tu pergi hotel HND tu.
Vitamin C vitamin C.
Ini apa?
Vitamin C
Akan you ini you have to speak louder.
PD vitamin C.
Vitamin C. Ni Apek, saya mau tanya in terms of tourism sekarang. Tourism sekarang cuma sejak dah 20 bulan kita tak ada income. Kalau boleh kita mau kalau boleh kita jual ikan bilis, kita jual ikan bilis. Ada kawan-kawan kita jual sambal, jual sambal. Tapi what do you think? Apa pendapat Zihao? Macam mana kita nak recover tourism dengan keadaan sekarang semua sudah lemah, very weak. Kita depend on so much on China market. Sekarang China market pun tak datang sini. Jadi apa pendapat tu Apek?
Okay, first I nak perlukan pendapat yang mungkin orang rasa tak sedang lah, tak dengar lah, dia sakit telinga sikit lah. Sebenarnya, okay, kalau boleh itu, I tiada niat nak menyakiti siapa-siapa, cuma nak mengeluarkan pendapat berdasarkan soalan yang ditanyakan oleh Saudara Uzaidi. Yang soalan dia, macam mana kita nak buat mengatasi masalah tourism ni yang terdegas ni. Sebenarnya, kalau kita boleh fikirkan dari sudut pandangan yang berbeza, ini adalah satu, orang kata cubaan daripada Tuhan. Tapi cubaan ni bukan dari segi manusiaan, dia dari segi ekonomi. Dia untuk menyingkirkan orang yang tidak sepatutnya ataupun entiti bisnes yang tidak sepatutnya berada di dalam tapak persaingan pada permulaannya. Faham maksud saya, Uzadi? Maksud dia, banyak orang yang mengendalikan tourism ni, dia tumpang bubble itu sejak zaman 2014 di mana Kuala Lumpur bukan Kuala Lumpur saja, Malaysia dikira negara yang ke-9 paling ramai pelancong dalam satu tahun tu. Sejak 2014 sampailah penularan wabak pada 2020, dia macam satu bubble, ekonomi bubble pelancongan. Semua orang ada melibatkan diri dalam aspek pelancongan. Ada yang buat hotel, ada yang buat penjualan kepada pelancong, ada yang buat durian, ada yang buat macam-macam. Tapi ini adalah sekadar bubble saja. Dan realiti ini telah memecahkan bubble yang berkembang secara besar, secara tidak realiti. Dan siapa yang memang berkualiti, siapa yang memang ada asas dia dalam pelancongan, dia akan hotel bahkan
line teruk.
Line breaking up.
Ya.
Tourism tu dia akan survive. Ini adalah, boleh dengar?
Okey, tadi ada orang sabotaj sikit tadi. Ada orang sabotaj.
Okey, tak boleh nak salahkan Dekom ke apa, bukan dia orang lah. Okey. So So
Tapi Apek, I just want to stop you there.
Okay.
You're saying that a lot of us are actually out of touch. Adakah kita ni, kita harap-harap dulu masa zaman dulu sebelum COVID, kita rasa comfortable, kita rasa ini bagus, kita pun ada sombong sikit, kita ada mau pilih sikit turis-turis mana, terus-terus satu tempat tak mau, kita mau turis tempatan pun tak mau, kita mau yang inbound, international punya, international turis. Sekarang kita sudah menggelabah. Kita dah tahu macam mana ni. Adakah itu maksud tu, Apek?
No, that's not itu bukan maksud saya. Maksud saya ialah saya bukan memacukan pandangan saya ke atas sesetengah bidang saja. Contohnya kalau Mita tu membawa orang masuk, dia agensi. Kalau MD itu dia hotel, ada yang homestay, ada yang apa. Saya cakap secara keseluruhannya, memang dalam semua bidang ni ada orang yang berasas, ada entity business yang memang berasas, yang memang ada perancangan yang bagus, memang ada simpanan yang cukup untuk mengharungi apa-apa masalah. Cumanya ada juga ramai dia nak tumpang perkembangan yang tidak realistik sepanjang 5 tahun sejak 2014. So orang kata dalam 2016 ada kata tourism ni bagus ni, baik aku register satu agensi, baik aku register Airbnb, baik aku beli beberapa shop lot dan tukar sebagai homestay, baik aku buat ni. Orang yang tak faham tentang tourism, yang tak faham tentang pelancongan, mereka akan menjadi barisan pertama yang terkandas dalam pandemik ini. So bila pandemik ini telah selesai, orang ni dia tidak akan masuk ataupun dia discourage, dia tidak akan berkobar-kobar dan masuk balik bidang tourism. Dia tahu tourism ni mesti ada perancangannya panjang, mesti ada nama yang sudah baik, mesti ada branding, mesti ada simpanan dan juga pelaburan. Semua tu bukan senang-senang. Contohnya kalau Encik Andy ke Min ke Uzaidi boleh tahan sampai sekarang, it prove that you are somebody. It prove that you are really a veteran in tourism sector. Because many that I know, many that complain, they just started tourism dalam 2-3 tahun lalu. Lepas tu dia kena pandemik. Dia tak ada perancangan. Dia tak tahu macam mana nak menghadapi ini. So, pandemik ni adalah satu proses natural, proses paksaan, bukan proses sukarela untuk mengandaskan, untuk menuraskan mereka yang tidak sepatutnya berada dalam bidang ini for the beginning. That's the first pandangan. Okay? How to deal about it? You see, apa yang akan berlaku dalam masa depan telah diperawalkan. Orang kata Industrial Revolution 4.0, smart technology, iaitu AI. Ini macam mana pun dia akan menuju ke arah itu. Cumanya pandemik ini telah memperawalkan penggunaan digital, penggunaan pembelian ataupun booking online ke semua tu. So, pandemik ini telah memaksa semua hotel operator ke travel agent ke mana-mana peniaga yang berkaitan dengan tourism untuk update kepada Industrial Revolution 4.0. Sekarang Uzaidi dulu, Tuan Uzaidi dia main Facebook, dia main live saja. Facebook untuk orang tua. Sekarang tengok apa dia buat sekarang. Clubhouse, santai-santai, boleh dapat ramai orang juga datang tu. So now orang macam Uzaidi, macam Andy, macam Min, macam Raniza, semua Jason ni dia telah pandai, dia tahu okay, next time maybe kalau saya nak promosikan satu tempat, bukan saja bergantung kepada kementerian ke, bergantung kepada big advertising agency, dia buat Clubhouse. Hari ini kita bincang tentang satu hotel yang dimiliki oleh Andy. Sila jelaskan hotel ni macam tiba-tibanya ramai orang masuk Clubhouse, ramai orang terdengar, ramai orang nak pergi hotel Andy. Nah, macam mana pergi dia buat booking dengan Uzaidi. Kalau kata domestik lah, contoh kata lah. So ini Clubhouse je. Orang operator ni dia tahu ke pasal Clubhouse, dia tahu ke pasal Facebook Live, dia tahu ke pasal macam-macam yang berkaitan dengan information technology. Industrial Revolution 4.0. Industrial Revolution 4.0 dia tidak terhad kepada media sosial. Dia lebih tertumpukan kepada AI, artificial intelligence. Contohnya kalau dia masuk data, big data, dia masuk semua data tu, dia boleh tahu okey, pelancong suka datang bulan berapa, kenapa. Pelancong dari mana suka datang ke tempat ni, macam mana nak target dia, price range dia berapa, ni semua AI tau. So dia masuk data saja, dia analytics keluar tu, dia boleh bagi tahu Encik Uzaidi kalau nak target tu, nak target orang pergi Langkawi, kena tuju khas kepada orang di sebelah timur barat Jepun pada bulan 3 hingga 5 kerana masa itu ada monsun ke apa ke. So itu AI lah. You tak payah buat lah apa ni advertising kuat-kuat ke, semua orang boleh tahu ke, buat kat TV station, kat BBC ke, tak payah. You boleh khusus bagi kat situ saja. Okey, kita tengok orang Jepun tu dia main Facebook kuat juga, dia main Line kuat juga. So, kita advertise kat Line di sebelah South East Japan pada bulan 2 untuk bersedia bulan 3. Contohnya lah, itu adalah micro targeting. So what happened is that this pandemic forced tour operator to move on digital.
Correct.
So,
Agree.
APEK, you were saying that a lot of us actually dinosaur lah. Jadi macam dulu-dulu punya binatang apa
Old
tu panggil
school.
dinosaur lah. Bila pandemik ni datang, ini dinosaur ni dia facing out dah. Dia sudah tak boleh duduk di dunia yang baru. Jadi sekarang ni mengikut APEK mengatakan kita kena revolution tukar sama macam mana nak micro targeting, bagaimana nak guna digital. Tapi kita ni is a small company, syarikat kecil. Macam mana mau itu data mining lah, apa bagi target lah, database lah, macam mana kita
I know. Saudara Uzaidi, sebelum saya jawab soalan itu, yang saya akan jawab tu, saya mau tanya satu soalan dulu. Kalau satu hari seorang jumpa dengan Encik Uzaidi, nama dia Encik, contohnya Encik Tan. Encik Tan ada satu kilang besar, bina apa tahu? Bina itu telegraf punya. You tahu telegraf tak? Telegraf. Dulu seketika tahun lalu telex ni. Telex bukan telex lah. Dalam dia Moskop, pakai Moskop punya, you tahu tak? Ketika ini adalah alat yang paling penting dalam perhubungan dan komunikasi. Dan Encik Tan adalah seorang yang menghasilkan telegraf ini. Okey, sekarang Encik Tan datang ke office Encik Uzaidi. Dia tanya, Encik Uzaidi, sekarang semua orang sudah tak mau beli saya telegraf, apa yang sepatut saya buat? Dan Encik Uzaidi bagi tahu, sekarang semua pakai handset, pakai handphone lah. You kena tukar, you kena pakai handphone. Dia kata, Encik Uzaidi, nama saya Tan. Saya buat kilang ni pun sudah 30 tahun, saya dinosaur lah. Saya tak boleh jual handphone lah. Apa Encik Uzaidi akan bagi tahu dia? Saya tanya soalan Encik Uzaidi. Tutup kedai lah.
Uncle sekarang sudah
Zaman lain.
untung banyak, 30 tahun sudah untung banyak. Uncle ada anak perempuan tak? Kalau anak perempuan kenalkan saya.
Kawin.
Itu saya.
Yang bagus jugalah. Tapi apa yang Encik Uzaidi jawab kepada Encik Tan adalah jawapan saya kepada Encik Uzaidi. Kalau kamu mengaku diri sebagai dinosaur dan tidak mau mengikut arus yang begitu kencang sekali untuk digital ni, maka kamu akan terkandas dalam persaingan yang sengit. Maka syarikat seperti Thomson ke, syarikat seperti China punya CTC ke apa ke, dia akan gantikan Encik Uzaidi. Dia akan gantikan kecil-kecil punya ni. So I'm sorry, what to do? This is a trend. This is a free market. So apa yang harus lakukan, apa yang boleh lakukan, mungkin Encik Uzaidi boleh join dengan travel agent yang kecil-kecil jadi satu travel agent yang besar dan masuk teknologi ni. I'm sorry lah. I mean, if you cannot survive as a small travel agency, then you have to join with your friends and become a big one. Just like bila Amerika dia ada Boeing tu satu company saja. So macam mana Eropah nak bersaing dengan dia? Dia kecil-kecil di London, dia kecil-kecil di Perancis, dia kecil-kecil di Sepanyol, dia kecil-kecil di Jerman, dia join sekali jadi Airbus. So Airbus satu entiti besar boleh bersaing dengan Boeing ke Amerika atau Bombardier ke Kanada. So that could be one of the way. Ataupun kalau nak menjadi khusus saja, what kind of tourist need small travel agency, boutique traveller? Dia dengan isteri dia dari China, dia boleh habiskan RM100,000. Dia cari ini Encik Uzaidi tu, dia boleh bagi butler service, dia boleh pauhai orang kata, dia semua merangkumi, ada travel punya kereta service ke, rental service ke, hotel 5 star, semua termasuk perubatan sekali tu. Then you can only target the very niche market lah. So okay, a very simple question to all of the travel operator world here.
Now we still have people kat China ke, kat Jepun ke, dia dinosaur juga. Dia nak pergi satu kedai fizikal, dia nak tempah RM3,000 datang Malaysia untuk buat ni buat tu, dia tak mau shopping ke apa ke, ada lagi. Tapi how many of them? Tanyalah anak sendiri, Encik Udaidi, or anyone of you, just ask your son, ask your daughter. Kalau nak pergi London, kalau nak merancang, nak pergi China, nak pergi Singapura ataupun nak pergi Cameron Highland, what will you do? Would you go to a physical shop and knock the door and say, oh, I want to buy a package, or you go online search for what Traveloka ke, Expedia ke? I'm not a traveler, but I know all these things because these are the things that I got feedback from everyone else. No one in my generation. Hey, I'm not a younger generation. I'm a APEK already, you know. I'm a Gen Y. Last time Gen Y macam muda sangat kan. Sekarang Gen Y macam orang tua dah. Rambut pun sudah gugur dah. Sekarang ada Gen X, ada Gen Linear, ada Gen TikTok, Facebook orang tua pakai punya tau. Sekarang TikTok punya orang tak pakai Facebook dah.
Betul.
Kita kat Facebook macam mana nak buat TikTok kan?
Betul.
So the next I don't want to give the opinion of what should do. Like just now I say okay, invest in technology, pengkhususan artificial intelligence. But I got the tips. Apa yang seharusnya lakukan? Tanya anak-anak sendiri, tanya anak saudara sendiri kalau nak pergi melancong apa yang mereka buat dan menuju ke arah itulah. Kalau dia kata, oh saya masih nak ketuk pintu pergi cari satu travel agent, then congratulations lah. Mesti ada orang. But guarantee you, 99% of them won't say that lah. So what do they say? Traveloka, Expedia. Then you ring up Traveloka, you ring up Expedia. How can I work out with you? How can I work out with CTC? How can I work out with Pligi.com, Alibaba. Okay, anything. So actually I know you are doing that. I mean Mita is doing that already. I know.
Tapi apa ya? You tengok sekarang ni, kita sekarang dalam delima. Kebanyakannya online ataupun digital ataupun artificial intelligence yang platform semuanya kepunyaan atau belong to foreign based company belong to foreign based company. It's not based here in Malaysia. So kita sekarang terdesak. How can we compete with them? They are big. They are very very big. How to compete with them? We're talking about all the Expedia tadi cakap ada lokal semua itu bukan Malaysia punya. Tapi dia dapat bisnes dari Malaysia. Yang kita ni di Malaysia, kita buat office, kita ikut undang-undang, kita bayar cukai, kita rasa tersepit. Ada yang kata kenapa kerajaan tak bantu kita? Kenapa kerajaan tak protect kita? Dengan itu big company online. What do you think, Zihao?
Okay. I pun nak jawab dengan memberikan satu gambaran lah. Dulu seketika kalau nak buat video di Malaysia ni, kamu kena dapat permit dan juga license daripada Suruhanjaya Komunikasi dan Multimedia. Dan sebelum itu kena ambil daripada Kementerian Penerangan. Kalau ingat Datuk Abdul Kadir masih menteri itu ataupun Datuk Raih Syatin masih menteri itu. Tapi sekarang you tengok APEK Cina buat video ada permit apa? Tapi saya tak ada permit tau. Tak ada permit. Okay, so belum habis lagi. Saya tak ada permit. Saya terus naik dalam YouTube, dalam Facebook. Facebook Malaysia punya company kah? Bukan kan? Tetapi orang Malaysia pakai, orang luar pun pakai. Kita target tu, you tengok Expedia ke, Traveloka ke apa ke, dia walaupun dimiliki oleh syarikat luar, tetapi kalau nak meningkatkan daya persaingan tu, nombor satu, what is the most important thing? Whatever you are doing now is about marketing. Whatever you are doing now is about preaching, teaching, let people know about Malaysia, but you never focus on the product itself. What do people like about our Malaysia? Yeah, you know that people like beaches. You know people like shopping. You know people like, but that's too general. You can have beaches in Mauritius. You can have beaches in Thailand. Thailand, we are outbeat by Thailand. You are shopping, orang pergi Thailand. Nak high class punya pergi Singapore. Kalau nak beaches yang high class punya pergi Mauritius ke, pergi Dubai ke, tau. But they don't want to come to Malaysia anymore because we don't have a product to be marketed now. Other countries, we have that advantage in 2014 and around 2014 that time, or even earlier, 2010. But now we don't have that edge anymore. We don't have something to be marketed. Then what are the things that we are going to sell? There are two ways: enhance or build a new one. Legoland ke apa ke, there is a new one, like Genting, a new one. They are building a new one. But enhance means what? Enhance means as a tour operator or as a tour guide or as an agency, You know what is best to be marketed, and that's how you are going to tell the government. Not, I want grant from the government, I want leeway from the government, I want tax exemption from the government. This one government knows what to do already. If they don't give, there must be a reason. But you are the one who say that now Mita is going to tell the Kedah government that Lembah Pujang is going to be an attraction for people from London and Europe, UK and Europe. So we want the state government of Kedah gazette the Lembah Pujang place as a tourist destination for cultural heritage. But and also Mita will tell the government of Negeri Sembilan, say, oh, please gazette a place in Port Dickson. So to build, I just give a very weird example. So you are to highlight to the government what is there to be marketed, because the government people don't know what is best for tourism. They take salary from the people, they ambil gaji, dia buat kerja paperwork. They have to get feedback from you. They have to get feedback from the industry player. They don't know. They think that is correct, but it's not correct. They want to do a tourism punya experiment. They do it at Bentong. Who wants to go to Bentong from you? If you are from London, you from Japan, you want to go Bentong for what? You want to eat durian, you can eat in Kuala Lumpur. You don't have to go all the way to Bentong. You don't have to go to Taiping. Taiping people want to go to Taiping for what? Want to see the museum ke? Want to see apa? You bring them to makan. They makan. Kalau benda boleh makan kat Kuala Lumpur, apa saya dah pergi Taiping untuk makan? I just give an example. You are the eyes for the government, and you are to tell the government this is a place, and your voice must be unison. Kalau Mita cakap itu, Mata cakap itu, Bumika cakap itu, then the government will think that everyone have their own interest to take care of. But if everyone sit down together and tell the government, say, Lembah Pujang in Kedah is going to be a next hit for tourism, please gazette it, and we put on a fair fight. Lagi senang. Dia ada protokol lain. Or else if you harapkan the government to help you, is to help Mita ke? Is to help Uzaidi ke? Or is to help the general tourism? So government people, they are not kind.
Interesting.
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 Very agree.
APEK, we also have beside our panelists, we have all of our friends. We have Datuk Nur Zaliha, the Secretary General of National Council. We have Tuan Zohaimi, President Homestay. We have also Homestay Mistaf, Saudara Mistaf. We have our friend Secretary General of Mita, Adam is here. So here, we have Pajan, Mr. Pajan, all the way from.
I see my friend Datuk Andy Tua also here.
Yes.
Datuk Andy. You have anything to say, Datuk?
Oh, hello.
Hello, APEK, how are you?
I am good lah, Datuk.
I said minum tadi tu.
Oh, I yang berpati Datuk Andy bagi saya tu yang Mataki.
Ini sekarang paling hebat di Malaysia.
Tak ada.
Dia
mencabar itu negara beragam bodoh saya.
Cantik, ada jantan. Minta semua ada jantan.
Terus marah.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you Datuk Andy. Maybe Zahira talking about digital just now. Tadi APEK kata digital. Tapi kita Zahira is a digital punya entrepreneur. Dia cuba cari all the players untuk masuk ke digital. Tapi not that easy. Mungkin Zahira, you have anything to say, Zahira?
Hi, APEK. Basically, I've been following your Facebook, I think, for the last, 5 or 6 years? Or longer than that, I think.
Wow, thank you.
Wow, loyal fans.
I'm a very big fan. I know you have a twin. And I follow up on your cooking as well. So that's quite not bad.
Okay.
Yeah, I know you cook quite well also. Okay, so basically, digital is a very important component currently that a lot of people don't understand. You rightly say that the government would not understand what the industry player wants, and the industry player probably are not able to cope up what the international market has been doing. Like you mentioned Traveloka, you mentioned Expedia and all that. But at the end of the day, if we collectively be together, we can be digitalized. Of course, there's a lot of VCs around and there's a lot of things. Unfortunately, the digitalization product that we are coming up, it is not up to the international market. Probably the lack of understanding. So what we are also doing is we have actually built our own channel manager for distribution. We are B2B. We have built a B2B platform where we are pushing via API connectivity to international OTAs and international players in overseas market. So when we deal with the product operator locally, we have some challenges because they are unable to give us cancellation policies, payment policy. There's a lot of policies when you want to deal with international market. But when it comes to product operator like Sunway Lagoon or Genting, they understand. So there is a gap, understanding on how to digitalize distribution. Yes, we do promotion on Facebook or YouTube, but that doesn't convert into monetizing the sales. What we need to do is digitalizing distribution of the local product.
Understand.
Good question.
Okay, so you see, thank you Zahira, thanks for being my ardent follower for 5-6 years. And usually the cooking is done by Zikin, my twin brother. I'm the tukang makan saja, bukan tukang masak.
Okay, alright.
Okay, never mind. Okay, so you see, when you deal with government, okay, Uzaidi would know best that I spent 7 years with the government as a government officer. So government is like this. You lobby to the government on the very specific things. Now that you mentioned that, for example, cancellation policy is of an issue, you can even pinpoint out that there are smaller operators who cannot furnish your platform with what is expected of international from international tourists. So the best thing to do is when you lobby to the government and you tell the government what you want and what you hope they do. So it's like let's say you meet YB Nancy Shukri, the Minister of Tourism, or even before that YB Din Ketapi, and you say, oh, Mita is now pushing for digitizing a platform of which there must be a cancellation policy for all these things. So what we need the ministry to do is we want the ministry to pass a bylaw to ensure that every entity that registered with the ministry as something, whatever things, must have this in place. Oh, it's a very specific thing. Then I think the Secretary General will know that they will refer to the PUU, the PUU will refer to the Bahagian Pelancongan policy, DASA, and then the DASA will go back to the PUU and then to pass it to enforcement and pass to Bahagian Pelesenan, and then Lesenan say, if you want to register with us, a daftar with Tourism Malaysia, you must have this. You must upload your cancellation policy into the Tourism Malaysia website. If you don't, then TOPTEC won't pass it to you. For example, so what I'm trying to tell you is that if there's a combination of forces to lobby to the government as a whole collectively, this is the best way to be specific. But on the other note, what you pinpoint out is a very crucial point that I mentioned before as well. Then perhaps if I touch it lightly, people will take it lightly. The word collective. So collective means what? You means you are talking to your competitor to put down certain personal interests for a collective benefit to achieve one greater aim. So you take Pakatan Harapan as example. Warisan doesn't want to support Anwar Ibrahim, just an example. And Pejuang does not want to support Anwar Ibrahim. So you have a collision, but because of personal interest, Anwar did not become the Prime Minister. Because of this though you are in the opposition, but you cannot come in together. So let's say, if you recognize another person as a competitor, if you can persuade your competitor to put down certain guts against you as a fellow competitor, and just to achieve a greater aim for a greater platform, and that platform and that aim has something to do with digitization, or digitize everything that you are doing now, that will be very powerful things. So the key word is not about lobbying to government, the key word is not about digitization now, it's about the willingness to come in collectively.
Yeah, I agree on that point. But the problem is currently what the lack of understanding is in the market is about the digitalization. It's like people understand, digital is all about promoting on Facebook, on YouTube, but unfortunately the distribution is a bigger picture. Like I gave you the example of cancellation policy is just one off, and then you have free sales, you have allotment, and when we speak to the local tour operator or or product operator, a lot of them, they don't understand what is free sale, what is confirmation, what is instant confirmation, what is allotment. What we have to do is to revamp the understanding of the tourism sector, just beyond selling your product. You need to understand how to market your product, not in terms of only marketing, but how to sell it. Like for example, if you go online, you actually book hotel, you get confirmation. Why? At the back end, there is a process, there is a procedure, there is a channel manager involved. There is a lot of API connectivity. There is a lot of dynamic rates happening. So I think probably the industry player need to come up together, like what you rightly say, Mita, Bumitra, Mata, come up together and do a crash course on understanding the real word of digitalization. If you speak to the Marriott Properties or the IAG, they understand. You speak to the Ramada Group, they will understand. But when you talk about individual tour operator, we have 5,000-6,000 of it in Malaysia. Not everyone understand. So what is your take on that? I'm sorry, I have another question on this.
No worries. So I like this question because it directly concern what I am doing all this while. But so what I'm going to share with you is how I digitize my own personal branding as APEK CINA, and also as a social media consultant in that perspective, in that context. Number one, I have that selfish part of me at the very beginning. That selfish part of me is like, now I know how YouTube operates, how Facebook operates, their algorithm, what time I should post, and what is their how to generate leads, and how to make conversion, and how to even certain words to achieve organic reach instead of boosting and all these things. I cracked the code. I really spent a lot of time on that. So these kind of things give me an edge, give me an advantage, because I do meet up with influencers, the YouTubers, Instagrammer, TikToker, and I ask them. They taught me all these tricks. At the very beginning of APEK CINA, I use it on myself, and it works. From 0 followers, without boosting, I got 100,000. Then I start my YouTube from 0 followers and without 50,000 followers. Not many because I'm not handsome I cannot sing Actually, I can sing, by the way. But the thing is that this, unfortunately, that selfishness is the thing that is going to stop the industry from progressing. But also, the selfishness is what you may try, you see. This market is a free market that relies on the demand and the supply, and where you have a price that is lower than the equilibrium, then you will attract people. So when this lady by the name of Zahira knows all these tricks about algorithm, about distribution and all these things, Zahira has an edge over Uzaidi, who claims that he is a dinosaur. So if Zahira, with this knowledge, make some profits and a visible success out of it, then people will have to emulate, or they will be the gandas. I'm talking on a macro perspective, not a micro perspective in that sense. So what I actually meant is that, why did Ramada, why did Hilton, why did Genting, Sunway, Lagoon and all these things adopted this kind of international standard, but that Pakcik who runs a homestay in Selayang does not? That is because this Ramada, this Sunway people knows the importance of getting themselves on board of these digitizations and the importance of it than the Pakcik in Selayang. So what will happen is that the market will force out the Pakcik in Selayang. So the Pakcik in Selayang will never get any business compared to his Sunway counterpart. There will be a day where his business has to close down, and there will be another person called maybe Mr. Taizi who will go to Selayang, who buy all your, subscribe to all your understanding about our digital, and then he make a successful homestay in Selayang. And the same thing that I mentioned about is not actually hypothetical. It actually happens in like Sungai Lembing. It actually happens in Raub, Tanah Aina, or something like that. So it actually happens, just that these people, they know the trick of what you just mentioned, Madam Zahira, and they don't want to tell the importance of it to their competitors. So, Zahira, what happened is that if there are more people who proclaim themselves as dinosaur, Zaidi, no offense, seriously, no offense. You are a dear friend, okay? But if a lot of people are very happy to become, to proclaim themselves as dinosaur and refuse to adapt to that changes, they will face a hard time in 10 years to come. They will have to close down their business to be replaced by people who subscribe to your idea. And we know that the trend is coming already. There is 3 generations between me and those who play TikTok. I'm the Facebook generation. There's an Instagram generation below me, and then only we reach TikTok, which we don't understand at all what they are talking about, and they don't understand. They call us the old generation. I start a Facebook page so that I can talk to my grandpa, kind of thing. So when they become the majority of this country, or perhaps when they become the majority of the entire world, the Pakcik in Selayang who refuse to attend your courses, to refuse to understand the importance of digitization, will have to close down his business, or he have to adapt to the changes. That happens before. The telegraph industry, no more. The newspaper industry is facing the same situation, where you have Utusan and also Oriental Daily move digital without any printing press anymore. So that is a sunset industry. I'm very sorry that travel agency is also a sunset industry unless you upgrade yourself to what Zahira has to say. But Zahira, there's no point to force them to attend courses and tell them how important digitization are, because they are not. There are people who are ministers who doesn't even have WhatsApps, who doesn't even have email accounts.
Correct.
And they are proud because they were ministers.
Yeah.
Maybe people like a lot of people in this industry, they take pride on writing letter or signing on paper and taking cash, because that's what they have been doing for the rest of their life. It's very hard to suddenly masuk satu kursus bagi tahu betapa pentingnya untuk come out with this cancellation policy, to understand about reach, understand about conversion rate, understand about algorithm, understand about general leads, understand about all these things. They won't understand and they don't want to know. They reject all at once. So these kind of industry, these kind of people, they will be lesser and lesser and lesser, be replaced and substituted by people that you don't even see. For example, when telegraph industry fell down, Siemens comes up, Nokia comes up. The Nokia thinks that they dominated the whole 2G world with phone just to be outbeat by Apple, just to be outbeat by Samsung, just to be outbeat by Huawei. You won't know that who is the Apple, Samsung and Huawei to you, but I'm very certain that most of these dinosaurs, you are Siemens, you are Nokia, you are Sony Ericsson. So instead of asking Sony Ericsson if Sony Ericsson and Siemens and Nokia refuse to listen to you, Zahira, refuse to update to a flat screen punya ni, then they will end up being out replaced by Apple, out replaced by Samsung. And now we are talking about world without borders. If you guys are not going to adapt to the changes, then perhaps Traveloka will come in, Expedia will come in, and then the China one will come in, and they replace you, and you have no place to stand. You close down your business. So what can you do? I'm sorry, this is a type, it's an international type. Yeah, that's basically my... Yeah.
APEK, I think APEK, the problem is not about the we want to adapt. Okay, definitely everybody want to adapt. But the thing is, the changes is so often, so fast. Last time kita guna fax kalau Jerman cakap I fax you, I fax. Sekarang dah guna lain. Email. Lepas tu sekarang dengan WhatsApp lah, dengan everything lah. You talking about BlackBerry dulu semua orang action. I have what's your BlackBerry number, what's your name? Everybody action BlackBerry. Sekarang mana pergi BlackBerry? Sudah habis. Dia punya teknologi so fast. How can we cope up all this technology, APEK?
APEK.
Okay.
APEK.
Before I tell you one thing, there's a
I got one question before pushing. I got one question before pushing too negative to pushing too negative to the travel agent. I can focus on whatever digital dies is, but it's still the needs of a personal touch service. Okay, so this is what we can focus on. So whatever, let's say I'm very angry with my son when WhatsApp in the room and I am in the lobby, then don't want to talk to me. This is what we still need, the human being. I don't think everything will be robotic.
story on that I will share later. But before that, I want to start off with what Uzadi had to say lah. I think Andy and Dato Andy and Min will understand this Chinese idioms called 学习如逆水行舟，不进则退.
Yes.
So it's like learning. Learning is like you are actually mengemudikan satu perahu melawan arus. Kalau kamu tak gerak, maka kamu diombakkan ke belakang. So what happened now is that everything is changing so swiftly. If APEK CINA is still using the APEK CINA style ke, editorial way like what I did 3 years ago ke, I will get lesser than 1,000 view only. The changes is so swift that in social media alone, I'm not even talking about digitization, I'm talking about social media presentation alone. The trend change every 2 months. Brother Uzaidi, Brother Andy, every 2 months, if I still use the same trick I did 2 months ago, no one wants to read my post. I won't get my few thousand likes on each and every post every time anymore. So, Uzaidi, I'm very sorry lah. If you are asking me the question, how to adapt to these changes, the answer is rather easy and simple. First, tell yourself that you need to adapt to the changes, but you cannot ask the world to stop for you. You are talking about a consumer market, and that consumer market change now in your way. You say fax until phone, BlackBerry until it's by years. But in the media world, in the digital world, we are talking about months. Hey bro, whatever you are doing now is already outdated. It's 2 months old. You know how terrible is it? We have to foresee how Facebook, TikTok is going to change the algorithm. Last time, one video, they will push for you, they will go for organic push. If for the first 24 hours, you hit 10,000 views, they will push for you. But now they scale down to 2 hours. Then 2 months later, they scale down to 8 minutes media video. Then 3 months later, they change to 11 minutes. They don't tell you, we have to crack ourselves. They are adapting to the changes of their consumer, which is the Facebook, YouTube, and TikTok user. And we have to crack the code. So we are constantly on test. Madam Zahira, you know what I'm talking about. They are constantly on stress and test. Mark Zuckerberg gave a brief on their change of algorithm. They got haywire already. I got haywire already. All the digital market got haywire, while you guys are still talking about, what should I post later? So the changes is so swift. The answer is rather easy. It's not an answer that is superb and all these things. Uzaidi must tell Mr. Uzaidi in the mirror, the man in the mirror, if you want to make a better self, you look at the mirror and make a change. That's what Michael Jackson says, right? Take a look at yourself and then make a change. You tell yourself you have to make a change first. Then second, humble down yourself and ask your son, what is it like in TikTok? What kind of thing you want to see? What kind of thing you want to read? Madam Zahira, I cannot tell them about a lot of technical terms. It will frighten them. We start with something quite organic. You ask your kid, you ask your son. I am a media consultant for many people like some politicians and some business person and some property sales. I'm a social media consultant, and the first thing I always ask them to do is whenever you draft a posting, ask your son, ask your friend, will you even bother to read that thing? So that is the simple thing to do. If they don't, then you change, you adapt to change. And when changes has become a constant thing, then changes will be your what we call that, your perangai lah. You adapt to the change. You cannot tercunggap and say wait for me because they won't wait for you. So answer to Andy's question, he said about personal touch and all these things. Actually, my theory, what happened to Andy's son is exactly what happened between me and my parents, So my father said, last time we all makan together, why you always hide yourself and play the computer game and all these things? So I am actually setaraf dengan anak Andy lah, in that sense lah. But I have to tell you, Andy, technology brings changes to us that is unprecedented. Your son cannot relate to how it was when you were in the past. Andy, the first thing that your son cannot understand is, number one, your hardship. When you were young, there was no internet, there was no aircon.
Yeah.
You have to work really hard to get 180 ringgit per month. And you got very happy, you buy baju which is white color because color baju is very hard. The first thing that they will never know is your hardship. So number 2 thing is when you have hardship, for example, Andy. Let's say Andy is from Terengganu and Andy comes to Kuala Lumpur to work. Okay? So Andy does not even have a phone that time. He needs to go to the public phone and call his parent from Terengganu, Papa, Mama, how are you? Or he writes letter. So Chinese New Year is particularly very, very big for Andy because that's the only time in the year where Andy can travel back to Kuala Terengganu to meet his parents for 5 days. So he will mati book the train ticket, the bus ticket, and bring his tua pao, sei pao, bring his all the KL punya best char siu, everything, and stand in the train, third class ke, in the bus all the way to Kuala Terengganu just to celebrate with his father. But what happened now, Andy? Your son, if he study in Australia, he come back 3 times a year, right? Let's say lah. And then you want to talk to him, you put on the phone and then the WhatsApp call. So they don't know how to cherish the thing that they have it in hand. So orang kata selalu dapat maka tidak akan bersyukur. So you can't relate to that. I'm very sorry, Andy. Their upbringing, our upbringing is so bahagia, is so hangfok already. So we don't know how it is like when we lost that touch, when we lost the opportunity to talk to our parent at Vim. Whenever we want to talk to my father, I just think, I can't even call him because there's no such thing called phone. I can't even meet him, there's no such thing called video call. This year, because of the pandemic, I did not go back to my hometown to makan besar. You know what we did? We put a computer, we put a video on our side, I put a video in Sungai Petani by that side, and we makan in the same table, I put on a TV as if he is next to me already. Technology already take away that personal touch. Like it or not, you have to admit to that. Because we do not have the upbringing like the Gen X and the baby boomers.
Yeah.
I'm very sorry about that. We love our parents. Your son loves you as much. If something happens to you, he will rush to you. He will, but that personal touch is not something that they cannot get it. They want it, they have it anytime. Like, for example, Andy, when you were young, you want to eat Japanese food, have to go to the town, have to earn enough money, then can only eat sushi. But now we want to eat sushi, we call Grab sent to our house already. Do you think that it will be useful if you tell your son, hey son, you know how hard is it? We want to eat sushi. You eat properly lah. You finish everything lah. They will say cheese in it. You can't blame them also. Andy, you cannot blame them also because they don't have that feeling that you have. So what my advice to you, Andy, is that if personal touch is not something that cannot be, you don't have to work hard for it, then people won't cherish that much already. If you apply that to tourism sector, last time people always travel in big group. They like it. Once in a year, once in 2 years, they travel with their long-distance family member, they travel with their company staff, they travel with their good friends. But now you see that trend is dropping, where people like to travel only with their wife, only travel with their family, close member, or rather travel alone. So that can be transcribed into how the trend, you see, the trend of traveling. Because if I want to meet up with a friend last time, maybe like Andy when young, Uzaidi young, mean very young that time. Maybe once a year everyone come back to the hometown only sekaligus 5 hari. Okay, we go to Sungai Lembing. But now I want to gang. We put that pandemic thing aside I just one phone call in a WhatsApp group. Later everyone meet in KLCC already. Later everyone meet in Gurney Drive already. Later everyone meet in JBCC already. And it's so easy, everyone has a car. Malaysia, not just Malaysia, the whole world. How many cars, Andy, Uzaidi, how many cars in front of your house? Last time, 3 house, 1 car, now 1 car, 3 house already. So 1 house, 3 car already, right? So that's my answer to you, Andy. Unfortunately, the personal touch is something we can get so easily. Our next generation won't cherish it anymore.
Yeah.
I think very interesting. Your point is very interesting, Apek. Kita sama-sama dengan tetamu khas yang dibawa khas daripada tak tahulah namanya Zihao tapi kita panggil APEK CINA. APEK CINA ni kita bukannya racist tapi kita memang panggil dia APEK CINA. Dia ni adalah seorang lawyer seorang peguam yang sangat detail. Saya tahu ya, kalau ada masalah-masalah dia sangat setiap perkataan yang sangat detail. Jadi pada siapa-siapa yang ingin memberi pendapat, those who want to give some idea, suggestions, or maybe challenge him because he's used to the in terms of debate and everything. So please, hands up, please. Click your hands icon, and I will bring you to the on the stage. So pada siapa-siapa yang di dekat pentas ni, kita ada Dato', we have Jason, we have Min, we have Naniza from Langkawi, we have Badrul from Sungai Lembing. Tapi yang apa dekat Badrul ni memang specialize daripada Sungai Lembing. Ada mungkin anybody from the give some points? Min, maybe Min.
Hello, APEK.
Ni Dato' no. Okay, silakan.
Hello.
I don't know whether you still remember me when during chief time.
I think so. Yes.
Because we are together at the
Go ahead, Dato'.
Okay, actually, Zaidi, tonight you are lucky to get APEK to talk this tonight because dia bukan calang-calang orang dia. So he managed to bring Jack Ma to see Chief, you know. So you talk like Jack Ma, you know, APEK. That's why I saw the the text from Zaidi that they're inviting you. So I guess I have to join tonight because I just say hello, you know. So everybody miss you. So it's lucky that you all invite APEK. Memang very talkative, non-stop talking. So maybe tonight you can share with us. I'm sure you got the experience from you are orang Jack Ma. So I think maybe it's good that you can give information or what do you call that, education or things like that to conquer the China market. You are specialist on China market during Chief punya time. Pegawai khas China market. Am I right?
Yes, that's correct.
So itulah cakap, you now pun boleh cakap macam Jack Ma, you know, try to advise those people and all that. So I don't take much of your time. So maybe you can share something that you know, sedikit tentang apa yang macam mana you manage to get Jack Ma to enter, I mean to see Chief during the Ministry of MOTEC on the tourism, Ministry of Tourism. I'm sure we are lucky to have you tonight. And cerita serba sikit tentang experience with him.
Okay, I thank you very much, Dato', for ringing a bell on that. Yes, well, I think I cannot share the detail because I'm bound by this Akta Rahsia Rasmi on certain matter on that particular dealing because it involves JPM and Kementerian Luar Negara semua tu kan. So and also I want to deny that I was the one that get Jack Ma to see Chief. No such thing. I mean I am part of the deal to make that happen. But I'm not that person that push for it. Actually, the person who pushed for it, if I'm not mistaken, was the Prime Minister himself, Datuk Seri Najib Razak. So Najib Razak was the one that actually have a call with Jack Ma, I mean, and got this thing happen. I'm just the one that prepare for the speech all this thing and talk to Alibaba punya officer, all this thing, deal with them beforehand. But there is a lot of interesting things that I want to share about China market. So China market, those from MITA, like veteran from MITA, like Andy, like Zaidi, I mean, like Dato' Andy, even Dato' yourself, you know better than me. But I can share stories from other perspective, from the G to G basis. G to G basis, China will always want to send tourists out to a lot of country as an exchange for a better diplomatic ties. So China takes their own tourists as an asset. So I send a lot of tourists to Malaysia so that Malaysia will have this reliance on Chinese money, and the Malaysian government will be so happy and agree to China on other aspects based on that diplomatic ties that form. So China government is very smart. It's a win-win situation. Whereas you can see in many situations like in Korea, in Japan, and even in Taiwan, when there is a diplomatic crisis, China, the first thing they will do is I'll stop my pelancong to your country as a form of punishment. When the Japanese are trying to, when the Shinzo Abe went to that Yasufumi shrine to pray for to send the what I call that, pay homage to the World War II war criminals, then China said I will ban my tourists to go to Japan for a certain time. When the Korea are putting their missile which within 1,000 kilometer range can reach Beijing, okay, I will stop my tourists. So you see, Chinese have been using their tourists as a form of bargaining chip for a better diplomatic relationship, which is a win-win situation. That you have to see from the government perspective. So when China is willing to offer a lot of leeways, that means they are putting a high hope that Malaysian government will give them something in return. ECRL, okay? And then you have the HSR. Then you have 5G that lost out to, the Siemens or Ericsson or something like that. So you see, when Chinese government is at its congenial relationship with Malaysia, they promote on your behalf. They tell Alibaba it's good to go to Malaysia. They tell Tencent it's good to go to Malaysia. Of which there is a change of government in 2018. They are quite reserved in doing that, because we stopped the ECRL thing, we stopped the HSR thing, then we stopped a lot of things. I mean, Pakatan Harapan government has been not that kind to Chinese government lah. And then you see a gradual fall in Chinese tourists even before the COVID incident kicks in. So it's a very fluid thing. Where you see about promotion, you see about tourism Malaysia in Beijing, in Shanghai, in Guangzhou, in Kunming, doing all these promotion things. These are within the diplomatic framework that the Chinese government allow you to do. So we are quite the reactionary part on that part. So I will share this to you because that time if I share also, you guys will take that as a alasan or whatever thing. So we cannot really take full credit. I mean, the government cannot really take full credit. The Ministry of Tourism, Arts and Culture cannot take full credit of what they did in China, because what China tourists concern is that what their government promotes to them or what the government allowed them to do, and that relies a lot of a bilateral, higher level bilateral relationship. And that is the fundamental part about Chinese tourists. Okay, how about individual part? So what I did in the past was very, very fluid as well, because I know how they deal. Chinese provincial government, they always wanted to show to their central government how good they are. Luckily in Malaysia, we have Ministry of Tourism and Culture, and China in 2018 also merged their Ministry of Culture and Tourism together. So I always do something in exchange. For example, Kunming want to perform in Istana Budaya, I will draft a very comprehensive MOU. You come to Malaysia to perform, but you bring your Hunan TV, and you cover about Malacca, you cover about your Bentong, you cover about thing, and then the ministry will refer this TV station to the respective state government. Bentong Hunan TV covered before, and then Anhui TV covered Malacca before. And these documentaries about tourist spot in Malaysia come priceless, you see. Because if you advertise in the Chinese local TV, like Hunan TV alone, the Mango TV alone, 1 hour worth of advertising space can cost you about 20 million ringgit. But they are going to do free for us because we hosted their dance troupe in Istana Budaya, where they can tell their Beijing government that, look, my dance troupe in Kunming actually is an international recognized dance troupe. My performance exhibition is international, we do exhibition in Museum Negara. So in exchange, they promote us, we help them to claim from their federal government to promote all these things. But Chinese people, you must break them into 3 kinds. The citiers are the Shanghainese, the Beijingians, the Guangzhouians, the second tier city people, and then the third tier one. But Malaysia often we target the second tier only one. Why? Because the first tier they always aim for like New York, they always aim like Paris, they always aim like Australia. These are what your industry known as the luxury market. Malaysia, we are not up to that standard. We are losing to Singapore on that note.
What do you mean by losing to them? If a Chinese tourist bring in 100,000 ringgit to Malaysia for 3 days only, how can he spend the 100,000 ringgit seriously? He can't even finish. Staying in the presidential suite only cost him 12,000, only 36,000. Eating the most expensive things is only 5,000. Well, one night in Ritz-Carlton, New York, or one night in the Burj Al Khalifa may just cost them 50,000 already. These are what we call the most important aspect of luxury punya ni. We don't have that. We are very limited, so we cannot target this first tier punya Chinese tourists. We always target the second tier in groups. But unfortunately for you guys, groups was a thing in the past. They come, they buy, and then some they go for batuke to buy things and all these things. It was a thing. But now when the what you call that, the Alibaba come out, the Swiggy.com with their own respective equivalent of Expedia and Traveloka and all these things, they are gradually decreasing the reliance on group travel. So it's fall back to square one. The way to target future Chinese tourists is how you are going to target future European tourists, Australian tourists. It's the same way. You have to advertise, but no longer in TVs. You have to advertise in their respective website, in their equivalent to Traveloka, their equivalent of Thomson. Even Thomson and Thomson have, Thomson chaplap already, bankrupt already, but they have their own version. You know better than me. What is that? C3? Yes, C3. So the way to target Chinese tourists in the future is always how you are going to target the European tourists, the Japanese tourists 10 years ago. They are catching up. Unless you have a very mature luxury market to target that presidential suite dweller, then Chinese market you can only expect the second tier one. And the second tier one, they are getting younger and younger. My last visit to China was a year before COVID. I went to Guangzhou for 5 days on a business trip. I'm the only person who use cash there. Can you imagine? I never see any person using paper money anymore. Even a younger school student use their phone to pay for everything. Are we ready for them? Are we ready for them coming over to 7-Eleven and say, can I use Alipay? Are we ready for that? Yes, we have our touch and go. We have all these things. So their rates of adapting to technology is faster than the rest of the world. And you are still hoping for group traveler from China come in a bus? Yes, there are still people alive lah. That generation is still alive. They may come again. But if you are not following what Zahira is worrying about, then you lose out Chinese tourists too. So my summary to the answer to Datuk is that how to target Chinese market in the future. It's going to be the same as how you're going to target the rest of the world. And guess what, Dato'? China is doing faster than the rest of the world now. China's technology, China's adaptation to algorithm, big data, all these things, somehow and somewhat in certain aspect better than the Americans. I'm amazed by them.
Wow,
so that will be my summary.
Very knowledgeable. I think Zaidi, maybe you can appoint APEK as our advisor for China market.
Bukan murah, mahal tu.
I'm very mahal, you know. 200 ringgit a month, you know.
Min, do you have anything to say, Min?
Okay, thank you, APEK.
Min change my Dato'.
Min Leong tidur ke apa?
Min Leong sembayang ke?
Jason, go ahead, Jason.
Yeah. Okay, Min, go ahead, Min. Okay, thank you Zaidi, Tuan Zaidi. Thank you APEK, thank you Ziha. So first time I meet you. Wow, it's really good, Ziha. Basically what you say is true. I think the first I listened is that the industry people, the marketplace people just tap on is speaking on the bubble, because I think first thing first is the mindset. Okay, then second thing is the skill set. So the mindset is basically, I think they are just because of previously before the pandemic, the tourism is so good, people is coming in, so for the inbound and outbound, so they just step on it, but they don't have that proper their skill set. So that's why they are now facing the problem. So now the problem is they need to see that it's not how to continue to this industry, is why they're still in this industry. I look at it. So once they know the why, then they will know the how. So I look at it because the industry, like what do you call, see how they say, industry revolution just for 4.0 is AI. Yes, I agree. Definitely, the changing of the style, the new norm, because the COVID, they push forward this industry 4.0. So that's why it make it people not what they call in terms of Malaysia, not really ready compared to, you see, like China. They are so advanced already now. They are more advanced than us. So that's why I think the sustainability for our in this tourism industry is our people that not ready. Because you see in US, there is the 90% they are talking about gigs economy. Whereas in Malaysia, when you talk about gigs, gigs economy, a lot of people doesn't know. But actually, that is like Grabs is already in gigs economy, Grab food, Grab car, you know, Pandan food. These are all the gigs. So that means we need to be synergized. We need to tap on each other, I think. So, like for example, this digital marketing, I really agree with Zihao. So it's how you tap on it. Okay, for Puan Zahira, I think perhaps we can create the digital community that we can build together and learn together, and market have a platform. We have a platform to distribute all these products and get them have a know-how. Because basically government is providing, it's just like MDEC, our this what they call economy corporation, digital economy corporation, MDEC, CDEC, they are providing the fund. But a lot of people don't know, and they don't have the willingness to learn also. That is, I think that's the basic problem. And for example, Zihao did say the trend in future, yes, travel trend will be in a smaller group, so it will be more on like privilege, family, because of COVID, people scared to join together, SOP. So I think our market need to be go into a smaller, but create the something special, something that privilege, something that high-end product. So for them to feel like worth for it and experience for it. So synergy, I think, is the word that we need to tap on each other to have a hybrid. This is called hybrid. So like Zihao to say that, for example, our personal touch, like we, what they call, together with our family, sometimes, you know, we use all the phone. But I think education, what they call, the educational part that we need to promote on this hybrid. So let people to tap on it. So basically, this is some of my suggestion. Thank you, Jason.
Zihao, any comments, Zihao?
Yes, I agree fully to what Jason said. He knows the importance of AI. But for those who don't understand the Industrial Revolution 4.0, I would like to, how to say, put in the plain wordings. You can imagine this. Hello? Can you hear me?
Yeah.
It's a poor connection here, I'm sorry. Okay. Put in this way. So I compare, let's say, Jason and Uzaidi. Jason is a believer of Industrial Revolution 4.0, artificial intelligence, smart technology, but Uzaidi use the conventional way. Uzaidi, sorry, I'm just giving example only.
No problem.
Okay.
No problem.
So Uzaidi wanted to promote a package to Langkawi. So happened Jason also want to promote a package to Langkawi. And what Uzaidi did, he relies on government promotion in ITB, in WTM, in Arab Travel Mart, okay, in the Chinese Travel Mart. So he go there, he distribute flyers and all these things, and people come, people take flyer, and then he adopt them. But what Jason did was, he relied on a software provided by Zahira, and then he key in the keywords, the algorithm, and then they devise the software where someone who suddenly type, where should I go, then this will immediately pop up as an ad, for example. They target, so you see, target this kind of people is a micro-targeting this kind of people, they will have a higher conversion rate. That means these people say, where should I go? Then suddenly Langkawi pop up and click, hey, sounds like a good place. This is more direct. But the problem about this is that in the past, people will have to blast out to virtually everyone. But artificial intelligence means that you key in certain, you devise an algorithm to detect certain people in certain part of the world. First, you rule out those
who earn 2,000 ringgit and below. So Bhutan ke, India ke, to many part of India ke, certain part of Afghanistan ke, they won't get this ad already. Then you rule out those who target for luxury ones, the 10,000 and above. So how did you actually rule out the 2,000 below and 10,000 above? How did you actually target those age group between 30 to 40 or 20 to 40? These are what we call artificial intelligence. You need an artificial intelligence to, you key in the thing or you devise the software, they will find these people for you in the rest of the world, where Jason is handling his 200th order, Uzaidi only get the third one. So who is winning now? So Uzaidi may complain to Zihao and say, hey Zihao, this is really unfair. I'm in an honest travel agency. But Zihao will tell Uzaidi that, yeah, it's fair what, it's a competition what. Jason did not actually do anything wrong what. So by claiming that it's unfair, by claiming that it's changing, does not help. So all you need to do is to come up with the understanding that digitization is the next thing, and perhaps for time being, the only thing that you have to do.
Yeah,
and when
I have to stop you there. I have to stop you there. You know, you're talking about comparing me, the conventional, and versus Jason, who is more advanced on digital. What if, let's say, I'm a legit, I'm a what do you call it, registered travel agent in Montag, whereas Jason, who you know do everything, but he's not registered. He's illegal, but he's making a lot of money. So what do you think in terms of ability?
Okay, I got two things to bring to your attention. Government will change according to the needs and wants of the people. So when what Jason did is going to bring a lot of income to the country, do you think the government will protect you just for your 3-4 order instead of his 200 order per person? That's the first thing to consider. And the same thing happened in Uber, and before Grab came in where the taxi fellows was complaining, he said, I need to go for JPJ, I need to get a license, I need to go sit for this exam, I need to make sure that my car has to send for this SPAT punya checking ke apa ke. But these Uber drivers just without a license just do their things. They are illegal. Taxi drivers do the first round of protest. Do you think that the taxi driver win on this crusade? Do you think that the government give in to the taxi driver and ban Grab and Uber? No, because there is an increasing demand from the general population. There is a lot of benefit if the government allows Uber and Grab to ride on instead of protecting the traditional business of taxi. However, it is the market that has the final say. There's two countries, notably Korea, South Korea and UK. Korea banned Uber just to protect the taxi driver. UK does not ban Uber, but UK, you don't have a popular Uber in London. That's because the black cab, you can see it everywhere. And why? The price that you are going to pay for Uber is almost the same as taxi, where you have to wait for your Uber driver to arrive, where you only need to flag down a black cab and the black cab will stop. You pay £5.60 for the first ride, and then you go for the rate is almost the same. So it's the market that forced out Uber in London, and it's the market plus government that forced out Uber in Korea. But in Malaysia, Uber and Grab seemingly cheaper and more popular than taxi, then government don't see a point to protect taxi. And when I put this analogy into your situation, when you are a legitimate travel agency, but an online operator like Jason, given a very good planning of safeguarding the interest and the safety of the tourists, like how Uber and Grab safeguard the interest of the passengers, do you think the government will stop Jason from doing what he's doing now, where he's bringing a lot of money to the country? If I am the Minister of Tourism, I'm the Minister of Transport, do you think I'll listen to Jason more or listen to you more? Don't you think that I will pass a bill in the Parliament and I will say that to change the Akta Pelancongan 1992 to allow what Jason is doing? I believe so, because government listens to the people, and the people are not with you.
APEK, I have one question. APEK,
Can I add another point here? I think I can relate to what Uzaidi has said, and also what you have said earlier on, that pricing in Malaysia is very cheap, so that doesn't make that us luxury and attractive anymore for the high-end market. back in early 2000, when there was a boom for the Middle East market, I was actually at that particular time working with a Middle Eastern company based in Kuala Lumpur with a HQ in Dubai. At that particular time, the prices of the hotel was very, very high and expensive. All right, so you can get a room, you can sell a room 600 ringgit, 700 ringgit, up to 10,000 or 15,000 ringgit, depends on the availability or whatever that the customer is willing to pay. However, over the 15 to 20 years, till let's say in 2019, the hotel prices has been quite stagnant or probably lower than 15 years ago. All right. This is one of the reasons why you give an example of Uber and Grab. What I'm going to give an example is about Airbnb.
Yes.
When Airbnb
I just want to talk
Malaysia,
about it.
yeah, they are not well regulated. All right. There is no regulation. There is no framework on how Airbnb should operate. Whereas like New York, Paris, London, or even Singapore, Bangkok, all the has a regulation on Airbnb.
Yes.
So what happened is it doesn't affect the hotel industry, pricing, and the structure. So what will happen in future? Currently, we will not have luxury hotels coming in because we have lots of hotels. If anybody wants to invest, they're going to see the ARR. When they're going to see the ARR, they say like, why am I going to build a building of 100 million and I'm just going to sell a room rate for less than 1,000 ringgit? Whereas if I build this in Jakarta or in Singapore, my room rate is in dollar. So that's a better ROI. So, you know, there are certain industries that we should look into regulating it, like Airbnb, for example, because it is killing. Yes, they claim that they brought in $3 billion kind of investment into this country in terms of, you know, transactions. But at the same time, they are killing the real investors.
Yes.
They are killing the people who owns the building. They are killing those people who earn their living in the travel industry. 1 of 4 of our Malaysians are in the travel industry. So, you know, the impact is way bigger. So, and unfortunately, no one is willing to hear. Uzaidi, I think, have been fighting for it. Mata,
Ma also fighting for it.
yeah, exactly. So I think the regulation need to look beyond what Airbnb claim that they bring into the country, but what is affecting the industry, the pricing. Open back the books during 2003, 2004 when there was a booming, I shall say until probably 2012. After that, look at the pricing of a hotel. You get 100 ringgit for a 4-star hotel in city center. You don't even get a budget hotel in even Delhi or any other country, not even in Bangkok. So what's
interesting point, Madam Zahira. But I would like to split this into 2 separate issues. Yes, you are correct, you see, about the regulation part. What I mentioned just now, put into your context is that, of course, I agree that this needs to be regulated. But unfortunately, the government is not keen on that. That is the government fault. But I believe that in the past, before in the Barisan Nasional, there was some sort of like a tourism tax being imposed in the Airbnb thing. That was a beginning. But when the government falls, I don't know whether they carry on or not. I'm no longer, or perhaps I was never a spokesperson for the government. I was famous for criticizing the government just like what you did. And I agree with you fully that Airbnb or even Grab, Uber, the equivalent should be regulated like how hotels should be regulated. But the thing is like this, I must always succumb to the force of the market. So when government interference is too heavy, that it become a control market. But when we talk about tourism, unless it's a government-related facilities like a museum or anything, it should be the market should be the determining force. That is the first issue which I will continue. But the second issue about the pricing, I think that there was a slight misunderstanding over here. It's not about the price of the hotel. It's about the level of luxury. So, for example, the luxurious hotel, the most expensive, lavish way to spend in Kuala Lumpur is about 50,000 ringgit a day. Let's say a 20,000 ringgit room, a 7,000 ringgit lunch, a 10,000 ringgit dinner, and then a Rolls Royce that costs maybe 5,000 ringgit a day with a chauffeur and a full-time butler.
So that is the peak of the most luxury service that Kuala Lumpur can offer. But 20 years ago, it was like top of the world, you see. But now, if you go to New York, the most luxury room that you can get from Kuala Lumpur is just 1/4 of what you can get in Ritz-Carlton, New York, or even Dubai, Burj Al Khalifa. And then the chauffeur service and all these things, and then the meal that you're talking about, let's say, maybe one piece of some beef may cost about 15,000 already, and then end up that night with the champagne and all these things, 100,000 per day. So, and let's say I'm Bill Gates. I have tons and tons of money, or I'm Jeff Bezos, or even I'm Elon Musk. I earn 100,000 USD a day. I would like to spend 200 USD a day, but the limit that Kuala Lumpur offers is 50,000. Yes, I have still got money, but what can I do? I can only go Genting and splash all the money, but I can do it in Las Vegas. What I'm talking about collectively, Kuala Lumpur cannot offer more than Jakarta, more than Singapore, more than New York, and more than things in that context, you see. So that's why luxury market to target the first tier of these Chinese people, like the Jack Ma level people, or even the top 1% of Chinese tourists, Kuala Lumpur may not be their first choice anymore. It used to be. And perhaps the new thing that is coming up is about health tourism, medical tourism. Come to Malaysia, go to Prince Court for some cancer treatment. That might be one of the best choice lah. But when we go back to the first issue about regulating things, when Airbnb brings in certain amount of income for the country, hoteliers bring in certain amount of country, when regulation were imposed to Airbnb in a very strict manner, as strict as the hotel itself, for example, room must be clean, must have access to OKU and all these things, then the industry will die out itself. But tourism is not just about hotel. Tourism is not just about taxis. Tourism is not just about buying durians. Tourism is about a lot of things collectively what Malaysia can offer. So that brings me to another topic which is out of topic, which I'm very eager to share if Uzadi allows me.
Sure, go.
Uzadi?
Yeah, go ahead.
Sure.
I'm listening.
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm always in view that tourism is not a federal affair. There should not be a Kementerian Pelancongan dan Kebudayaan. I'm always in view. I've spoken to two different ministers, Datuk Nazri Aziz Chief and also Wabi Nazir Shukri, but they just brushed me aside lah. For me, tourism is always a city affair. So if you go to ITB Berlin, you go to WTM, you see the Malaysian pavilion, okay? But if you go to Japan, you will see Osaka pavilion. Then you will see Tokyo pavilion. You will see Himeji pavilion. You go to Thailand, you will be a Krabi. There will be a Phuket. There will be a thing. You go to the German area, then they will have this Berlin. They will have Frankfurt. They will have other places. So tourism, if you put in the federal affair, you cannot focus on the advantage of locality. So some bureaucrats in Kementerian Pelancongan in Putrajaya won't know how is it like in Langkawi. Won't know how is it like in Sungai Lembing. What does Sungai Lembing, how to promote Sungai Lembing? It's always a city affair, isn't it? So my idea is always that. So regulation on tourism, regulation on hotel, regulation on Airbnb should be a majlis perpadaran punya affair. Because what happens in Kuala Lumpur may not be suitable in Taiping, may not be suitable in Kelantan, may not suitable in Sungai Lembing. Sungai Lembing, you have a lot of this kemah punya hotel. That's why tourism come up with some Orchid punya recognition. But Orchid is not the 1-star, 2-star, 3-star that qualifies you to hire foreigners in your hotel. So that if Mita, Mata and all these things agrees with me, come up with this thing that devolve the centralizing promotional power. The budget goes down to city. Langkawi City Council talks about how to promote Langkawi. Taiping talks about how to promote Taiping. Why? Because it comes to regulation part. When you have one centralized regulation to Andes Hotel and that Pacik Hotel in Selayang is a little bit unfair, isn't it? But the Selayang one may get a lighter way of restricting this and that, while Andes Hotel may be 4-5 stars. He needs to achieve certain international standard that the ministry can govern as a governing body. That will be better. So I counter propose to this NGO and also the government, whoever is listening, tourism is always a city affair. To make it into maximum, so do the regulation part. Do you agree with me?
Yeah,
Agree.
Very interesting Apek.
Yeah, very agree.
The only thing is now, if you compare to the international countries, we're talking about America, US. There is no such thing as tourism America. Like here we have in Malaysia, we have tourism Malaysia. Yeah, we have Ministry of Tourism.
They only have city council.
You're talking about you're talking about Germany, where there's more on city focus
City
on
council,
thinking,
yeah.
Berlin. Or you're talking about America, they are more toward Las Vegas Visitors and Convention Bureau. They are Chicago Convention and all these things more focus on cities. But again here, we are small countries. And we have many states, and each state has its own state tourism body or tourism agency. But I can see that a lot of states, they cannot use the tourism. The word tourism belong to the federal. Perkataan tourism tu pelancongan tidak boleh digunakan untuk sebarang di mana-mana negeri. Jadi negeri has, for example, Pahang. They are we call it tourism Pahang, but it's actually a Fraser Hill Development and Promotion. That's what it called. Unless if you put it under the Menteri Besar Incorporated, it's a Sendirian Berhad lah. Tourism Selangor Sendirian Berhad. Again, any particular reason in terms of legality, Apek, kenapa tourism tu tidak boleh digunakan oleh negeri-negeri, melainkan hanya federal tadi?
Okey, dia nak mengelakkan perjanggahan lah kalau dari segi pembacaan atau pelancongan lah, dan tidak membenarkan. Contohnya kalau satu negeri dia kata dia Tourism Authority Pahang, so bila sampai ke negara lain, dia yang mewakili Malaysia atau Pahang saja mungkin mengeluarkan kekeliruan. So saya boleh baca dari segi situ, dari segi perundangan tu, untuk mengelakkan kekeliruan, kerana pihak persekutuan sudah ada satu badan yang mewakili semua benda-benda yang berkaitan dengan pelancongan di seluruh Malaysia. So itulah masalah dia, itulah masalah yang saya cakap tadi. Patut diberikan kuasa ini diturunkan kepada bandar-bandar, bukan saja negeri. Kalau negeri pun, contohnya Kedah, Langkawi ada Kedah, Sungai Petani pun bawa Kedah, Alostar pun bawa Kedah, Changlun pun bawa Kedah. Tapi kerajaan negeri itu, dia tidak tahu secara spesifikasi itu benda kawasan itu harus dibangunkan sebagaimana. Contohnya kalau dimasukkan dalam Majlis Perpakaran Alostar, dalam pembinaan jalan tu, dalam mesyuarat ahli majlis, dia kata kita kena melaburkan 1 juta untuk bina satu jalan ke Museum Padi. Kenapa? Kerana itu akan mendatangkan memberi kesenangan kepada pelancong yang ingin melawat ke tempat itu. So dalam aspek pembinaan balai polis ke, dalam aspek pembinaan sekolah baru ke, untuk mengelakkan kesesakan jalan ke, tourism telah difaktorkan contohnya. So cadangan saya ialah, apa yang saudara Uzaidi tanya kenapa dari segi perundungan tidak boleh guna pakai, dan jawapannya untuk mengelakkan kekeliruan. Dalam pandangan saya lah. Tapi saya setuju dengan saudara Uzaidi, dan saya tambah lagi, hak penggunaan pelancongan ini harus diturunkan kepada bukan saja ke negeri, tetapi city, bandar. Seperti saudara tadi cakap kat Las Vegas ke apa ke, Las Vegas is a city in Los Angeles, kalau tak silap saya, is not even a state itself. So if you see how to make Malaysia a better place in general, khususnya tourism, let's say tourism, but if you look at the general point of view, if there's only one Malaysia, it's very hard to develop properly, because the bureaucrats in Kuala Lumpur won't know what's best for Kuala Terengganu, right? You look at our neighbour Singapore, you always claim that it's a small country, so easy to manage, easy to develop. Whereas I read everything about Lee Kuan Yew, Singapore is the hardest place to develop among all in this region. No resources, no food, nothing, no water. But the thing is, if we can make Malaysia into 40 Singapore, that'll be better. China break themselves into 22 Singapore. America break themselves into 51 Singapore. Japan break themselves into 30 over Singapore. So more autonomy to the city government, more autonomy to the state government. That is the best way to develop tourism, because we have to understand that the bureaucrats in Putrajaya won't know what's best for the people in Raub, won't know what's the people for. So if APEK Cina alone meet the menteri, bagi tahu the menteri, they said, budak ni, dia tahu apa. You know, always like that. I know they never say that. I mean, YB Nancy is very good with me. Datuk Chief, you know, is like a fatherly figure. But I know that they brush me aside. But if you agree with me, you combine force and you lobby consistently, it must be from you guys. You are the industry player. But if you lobby something so specific like, nak grant ke, nak apa ke, dia orang pun kata semua orang nak grant, semua orang nak bantuan, semua orang nak pengecualian cukai. But if you can say something sounds like a thing to the Prime Minister, for example, if Uzaidi with Dato, with Zahira, with Jason, with Min, with Andy, is to meet Ismail YB, Ahmad Bomah, Ismail Sabri, and all of you bring up this thing together, it may work, you know. Because now, pergolakan, siapa menteri pelancongan sekarang tak ada kan, then why don't you devolve it? Last time mana ada kementerian pelancongan, dia ada tourism authority bawah Ministry of International Trade. So that's my suggestion to your side lah, because I never a spokesperson for the government, right? So I'm a strong criticizer of the government, even pada kata national government kan. So I'm more prone to agree with you all, you know.
Good. Agree.
Andy, you have anything to say?
Yeah, I have something to say, boss.
Min.
APEK and all our panel and all of you unique. Okay, listen to APEK and the speaker. I actually totally agree with what you all say, but I would like to draw APEK attention to this topic, because I think to talk about China now is too far. Where the government won't open the border until 2023, and hopefully they will be earlier. What do you think of the domestic tourism? Because I think nowadays I totally can understand what is the point of Zahira when they're talking about this industry player don't want to change or don't how to change into this digitalized and AI things, you know. So I think the main problem is we have to take one point. I think APEK said a very good point in the very beginning to say that for those who already gone is gone, those big company, they want to just put a storm or they want to change, just leave it. We actually need to do is we have to be more focused on those who are still a player until today and sustain until today. Then we have to think of how to reunion all these people to come into as one. As a long way ago, since the past 10 years, I can see that actually our tourism sometimes we don't have one voice. This is what. That's why a lot of policy, a lot of our voice cannot reach to the top people. I think that will be one point. I don't know how APEK are going to say about this. And the second thing that how can we in this 2 years time, as we know, maybe our international border will not be open. How we should focus on domestic tourism and how the domestic tourism can help all the operator, especially now. If we open the border now, but our pay is 23,000, how are we going to confidence our people to travel forward? I think that will be the topic. APEK, just take your view on these three things.
Okay. First, you mentioned about how to achieve one voice. Then second about domestic tourism. What's the third thing again? Hello?
The third thing is the confidence of the people who travel now with the highest, maybe the high case of COVID right now.
Okay, I start from bottom lah, from 3 to 2 to 1 lah. The third one you want to boost your confidence. Third to 2 actually can combine I foresee a trend in what we call the revengeful spending 报复性消费 revengeful spending once the borders are open you'll be flooded with domestic tourists. That's for sure. For the next 2-3 months to come, let's say today open up border, you'll be flooded already. You will see everywhere full with people already. Only I'm sorry, let's be a little bit racial over here. I'm not racist, but I'm just picking up some facts. Chinese takut mati kiasi so maybe lesser from the Chinese crowd. But those who are takut mati, you will see everyone everywhere. I myself, I'm sorry, I don't like to use myself as an example, but I myself was so cooked up that the first thing to do when they opened the border, I was thinking about Fraser Hill, Cameron Highland, or what, or Genting. And all my friends are talking about that already. Toyoman ke apa ke, how to book lah, it'll be expensive lah, everyone be crowded here and there lah. So the second question is about domestic tourism. What I have to tell is that don't worry, but my worry for you is that you will take this as a yardstick for the future months to come. No, this will fall down when the international border open. You don't know how many people kiasi around the world, but you know, you agak-agak can know how many people kiasi in Malaysia. So when the international border goes up already, Min Yong may want to travel to Shenzhen already, or Taipei already, Andy may want to go to Tokyo, and Lee Chong may want to go Leeds or the UK for certain reason. So you understand what I'm talking about. So my worry for the domestic tourism is not about tak ada orang nak datang. It's about suddenly there will be an influx in demand of domestic tourism when the case subsides. That you take it so happily and you create another bubble that we're going to burst soon. So at that juncture, domestic tourism industry player should invest, reinvest into a sustainable way to keep their thing alive for the international tourists already. You cannot just be happy. It falls back to square one, or what Zahira mentioned just now, digitization, because you are targeting, because when the international borders open, people fly out already. So that is your second question. Your third question, very easy only. Instead of one bus load of people, one bus with 30 people, you will see 10 cars with 30 people. So people come in smaller group now. So how to promote them? You promote in a smaller group one. You promote a day trip, 2-day trip, 3-day trip with a family as a unit, not as a big group. 30 orang pergi Padang Besar ke, pergi Johor Bahru ke. I don't think people will do that anymore. So the bus industry, if they are here, be careful on that. The bus industry, the bus persiaran people will be in a deep trouble lah. I was made known that there was a huge travel agency like Majestic or something got fallen because too many buses cannot be used or something. I'm so sympathetic. I pledge my sympathy to them, but that is the thing that people will have to worry about. So to answer your third question directly, do not target big groups, only target small groups. Your promotion should be a family as one unit or a couple as one unit. So if your promotion is like, oh, you have a hotel in this island, you have a big ballroom and all these things, that won't sell up. But you say, quiet place for 2 person, a quiet place for a family to enjoy their time, that may sell. So you shift your target, you break down the big group. That's your question number 3. Question number 1. That's a very interesting one. You think that APEK CINA will give you the answer, we should unite, we should bersatu padu. Oh, no, I don't give you this kind of bullshit lah. I tell you a realistic way. The industry way. So often industry works in a very unique way where the bravest survive. Of course, bravest people die also lah. You take McDonald's, KFC and a Pizza Hut as example. They never talk to each other. They are strongest competitor. Samsung and Apple also strongest competitor. They hated each other. They want to kill each other. But why they build their stock next to each other? You see, McDonald's invested multi-million dollars. What color to put up? When we were young, McDonald was red color. Then there was the Ronald McDonald with a lot of cute kids. Now only that clown guy, and it becomes black color. And now it becomes McD, M-E-K-D-I. And guess what? KFC will just follow suit. You McDonald come out with nasi lemak, KFC will come out nasi lemak. And then even Pizza Hut may come out with a nasi lemak flavor already. Do you think that they talk to each other, they come out in one voice to come out with this nasi lemak package, this fried chicken package? McDonald's don't want to lose out to KFC, they have their own version of fried chicken. So they studied the industrial leader. So for example, Uzaidi is the industrial leader. He is the number 1 person in Malaysia. He got 3,000 staff under him. He got 1,000 bus under him. You guys will automatically study what he has do, and you guys do exactly what he do. But one day in the future, people like Zahira, his client, his biggest client, who benefit, who reap the most from digitization, will be the leading agency in Malaysia, and you all will follow automatically. So you don't have to worry about how to get people into
actually, I'm very sorry, government intervention is always the bar of the one voice. For example, Andy run his hotel beautifully, started with digitization, booking everything with phone and all these things. Then suddenly a lot of hotel die down. Then they cry to the government. Government say, oh no, Andy, you cannot do this. This is unfair. We need to protect the people. I ban this digital booking. I pass a law. Who digital booking? I summon. So government may be depend of the one voice, you see. If the market is always free, then you guys will follow the industry leader. So maybe Andy will want to consider, hey, why Ramadan always get a lot of bookings? Why Sunway always got a lot of bookings? Oh, they use this system. They use the Radiant 6 system to do the social media listening. So everyone will start to use Radiant 6. Oh, I don't want to use Radiant 6. I use Google Doc or something like that. So your first question was an interesting question, but my answer sounds not like the answer, isn't it? Because it's bound to happen. So those who doesn't want to follow McDonald, what happened to Mary Brown? Tinggal 10 saja. What happened to some McDota? All these things tinggal 2 saja. You follow the industry leader. You don't follow Apple. Apple was the first company that come out with a full-fledged thing where people are still talking about BlackBerry. People still talking about Nokia, that all with A, B, C, D, E, F, G, keyboard, and Apple come out with only one button, and guess what? Samsung follow suit. Guess what? Sony Ericsson also follow. Guess what? Everyone else follow. Did Apple talk to them, come to one voice to do with this transparent? No, Apple, they just follow. It's your competitor. If you are good enough to follow your competitor and compete with them, that is how you get your creme de la crop. So that is what the final one was.
Yeah, Sazlin. Okay. Alright. Okay, Apek. Talking now about the smaller group, we are targeting to the small group. Okay, smaller group, but we have our industry. We have thousands of buses. In fact, I was told that 9,000 buses lying around, nothing to do. Including the van. Even now, van persiaran pun sudah tukar jadi van jenazah. Jenazah. Oh, mayat. So now, we're talking about bus, the big bus. What are they going to do? They spend a few hundred thousands. And the assets, the prices is diminished because the prices devaluate, they will depreciate every year because it's not an asset like property, like rumah ke kedai kan. So what is your advice to this bus operator? Adakah jual lah, lelong lah, ataupun itu bank angkat lah, repossess lah. What is your advice to them? Apek?
Hey, brother Uzadi, you trapped me in that, but I have to find a good way to answer to your question.
Boleh. Minta bank negara bagi moratorium with no interest.
Moratorium.
Bank negara bagi moratorium zero interest.
No interest.
6 bulan. That is what we want. Dan barulah kita until next year barulah kita fikir macam mana nak how to pemulihan balik. That is the point. You know,
logic
I don't think so. They will trap to APEK, then APEK nanti dia pening pala lah.
Okay. Fair to say, yeah.
APEK, do you help us to distribute the petition or not?
I'm a strong criticizer of the government. They hate me lah. But never mind. Let me tell you what Dato' Andy say has a point over there. It's an immediate solution. But it's not a long-term solution. Immediate solution lagi ada solution daripada tak ada solution kan. Because what I'm going to say is going to mengecewakan you all lah. You see, from a macroeconomic point of view, what ought to be stand will stand. What ought to be thrown away will be thrown away. Not by you, not by me, not by the government, but by the market itself. But the thing is like this. If to preserve these 1,000 buses and their operator is because of sympathy, because they are rakyat, because they are doing, then Dato' Andy solution is the best solution already. It's a government obligation to take care of certain group of people, but it cannot be permanent. It's just like 100 years ago, the telegraph punya company, the Mr. Tan, you remember 2 hours ago I mentioned about the Mr. Tan suddenly cry to the government and say, we operators who create this telegraph machine, Morse code is going to face a lot of what you call that. Oh, don't say yellow pages, ingat yellow pages. This kilang yang buat yellow pages punya tu, sekarang siapa baca yellow pages lagi kan? Suddenly cry to the government, say, government please help me. Yes, government can give moratorium. Yes, government can give anything, can give help, can give grant, can give bantuan. But how long? The market doesn't want yellow pages anymore. But the problem with buses is that the market still need buses lah. But the thing is like this, the buses that needed in the future is not the amount that you have in hand. You have 1,000, let's say you have 1,000 buses stranded here. But maybe after pembukaan borders, they only need 350 buses. Then you cannot ask the 650 buses feeding on the government forever and ever. So that is the first part of the macroeconomic point of view. But the second part is of it, what if in the future the domestic travel become a big thing and they eventually needed 5,000 buses in 2025, okay, let's say. So I'm very sorry to the owners of the buses in 2021, because you are going to go bankrupt, you are going to sell your bus at lelong just to wait for another few years, another person comes in, buy in 5,000 bus and earn all the money. This happens to a lot of you see a lot of abandoned project halfway, like Queens Bay Mall in Penang was abandoned for a good 10 years because there was no demand for the thing, and then the developer are facing a problem. So if the developer cry to the government, they mati-mati build up a shopping complex, it will become a shopping complex hantu lah, tak ada orang nak pergi lah. But 10 years later, it's about 2010 like that, someone took over and built Queens Bay Mall in Penang, and it became so good. So can the 2000 punya owner cry to the 2010 punya owner? No, 2010 punya owner just came in about the right time because there is a demand. 2000 punya owner came in the wrong time because there is no demand, there is no finance, and the project got abandoned. So that abandoned for 10 years is akin to the 650 buses you are going to abandon. I'm very sorry, that's why I say you are going to be kecewa because government can come in and help, but for how long? But if you can predict that domestic travel is going to need that 1,000 buses in 2022 with good results, with good kajian, with good data, then you can persuade your dear friend in the bank negara to give moratorium to that until that time. You are not going to say, oh, kita akan hilang kerja. Banyak company akan bankrupt, gulung tikar kerana bus ini kita kena bayar ni. So government please give us 100,000 ringgit each so that we can buy out the bus and pay out the debt. It doesn't work that way. But instead, you tell your dear friend in the bank negara, say, can you give us moratorium until August 2022? Why? Because that time we will need the bus back already, we can make income already. But that one, I'm very sorry, I do not have the fact and figure in hand. You guys are better than me. I'm just sharing on how to feel about it.
Excuse me. Our President Ujaidi kenal Dato' Rashid, Deputy Governor. He go to tell Dato' Rashid.
Ujaidi. I think you have invested very well.
Dato' Rashid.
I don't want to be a naughty boy. I don't want to be a budak jahat.
Be a naughty boy.
I want to be a budak baik.
Actually, frankly speaking, I think 6 months is good enough. For let's say we know I don't think government will subsidize or give any like grant somehow. I don't think so. They will do it. If our bank negara, it can influence or whatever. So this all the commercial bank. By right, our commercial bank every quarter spend a lot of money. This is a time they have to contribute to the country and to the whole industry. You know, he may not say now currently say moratorium, but we still going to pay interest, and then next we are still going to pay. I mean double interest to pay is unfair. You understand that? So I think, brother, all this we have to do internally to sort it out. I think coming soon our new cabinet ready, so we see who will be the next. So we have to continue. That's our mission. Then further, what I'm talking to is our. I think we still have to monitor on the locals vaccinated tourism bubble. That our second mission. I think Uzaidi, do you remember? So I think because Malaysia we have about population about 36 million. So I think we targeted about vaccinated on 80% on this October, November. So by right on December should be, I think our buses operator got a lot of business to do. Then further, we also, I think Uzadi, I think Mita, we also can think about how to form one consortium to gathering together to all players to see how to move forward. Like just now Jiao talk something like in future. This is, I think, is the third mission for the next lah. Then for currently, how do we macam mana nak lepas yang kita tengah susah ni. Yang tengah susah ni, there's have to bank to help us. That's why we have to show like our bank negara, our central bank governor. They also don't know what she talking about actually. Then that's why Jihao. That's why we going to fight. We are not fight. Government, we support government. But please, this is a point. What our central bank governor dia cakap pun dia tak faham, tak tahu apa dia cakap. That is my point lah. Then we hopefully our new government new cabinet will help us for this tourism industry. They really give zero interest this what they call it our moratorium until year end, 6 months. I think good enough. Okay, this is my point, my suggestion.
Thank you, Dato' Andy. Any comments, Apek?
Yeah, I agree with Dato' Andy. As a short-term solution, yes, the government should come in and assist lah. But my opinion just now was not about whether government should come in or not. Of course, it's given and taken that government should come in and help, but until when? So the until when is for you to say. It's not for the government to say, isn't it? It's for you to pitch to them based on a figure, facts and figure that you already gotten in hands and your study about the thing. So that is the immediate solution. But from the macro point of view, that's what my concern is. The market will be the determining factor. I'm very sorry I speak from an outsider point of view. That's why I can give a clearer picture. Because when your interest is in the concern, your interest is at stake, you can't see why government is doing this or why the people is doing that. So the pooling factor, or perhaps the best yardstick for me to determine on this issue or to advise you or give an opinion is, I take the yardstick from the general objective public point of view. Are they sympathizing you? Are they agreeable to this? Because when government come out with moratorium, when government come out with help, it's the people's money, hold on trust by the government. So 1,000 ringgit to help a poor family who is facing starvation, tak susu nak bagi anak, or 100,000 for 2 bus operator because they don't have an income or a job. How to offset this thing is what you are going to tell the people at large. I deserve that help, because if you don't help me, this is going to happen to the country and all these things. The government listens to the people, and what you need to do is make sure that the people are on your side. If the people are against you, for example, you ask for moratorium, you ask for things, then suddenly the kilang owner say, hey, I need the moratorium too. Then suddenly the every car owner say, I need the moratorium too. Then suddenly other industry say, oh, the petani say, I need the moratorium too. Then the government fall back to square one lah. Who to give, who not to give. So
I think probably they should. I think probably they have to help for all industry actually. Like currently all these bankers every quarter they still make a lot of money. So it's really this pandemic. Until now, we couldn't see what this sorry to say, I got a lot of bankers friend, but what is their contribution? Then what's the just now 6 months? I don't care. You want to help for for the tourism industry or others in the industry. Because now we are talking about Mita, we're talking about this our industry only lah. So others industry they should do something for them lah. I don't betul lah. This jadi we only Mita is more focus on this our tourism industry. Then why I just say 6 months? Because according to like this resource world thing is just opening. Okay, there's opening in Las Vegas. Then current Las Vegas their vaccinated program they did about 85%. Then when but by right I was there, So they when they're opening, nobody wear mask, nobody wear. I got a lot of video say from them. Then I asking them, wow. So you see, they say the whole Las Vegas people quite okay. I mean after 85%, the group immunity is very good. So I'm expected like our Kuala Lumpur, especially now, already almost about 85%. So very soon, I think nearby around that, this area, So until October or November, by right, follow this vaccination program. I think until November should be 80% already. So until year end, so 6 months is good enough. I think next year, I think probably all bus operators still got a business to do already get started. Compared to that what I'm looking for this like our Las Vegas Genting, So I think probably 6 bulan cukup.
Thank you, Dato'. Thank you, Dato' Andy. Anybody else? Because time's against us. We supposed to end by 11. APEK ni is a professional lawyer. Professional lawyer, they charge by the hour. So we are tolak. Bukan murah.
Yalah.
Walaupun nama
Okay. Uzaidi. APEK
APEK ni baik dia orang. APEK tak kira duit.
APEK,
rosakkan nama dia.
I have a question.
Hero lah, dia tak kira duit lah. Betul. Tai Jihau, APEK tak pernah kira duit.
Uzaidi, I have a question.
Itulah dia tu ada breakup lah, itu dia punya tu. Anyway, kita
Okay,
nak tanya
Uzaidi.
APEK ni very good in fortune teller. Saya selalu tanya-tanya dia, whatever dia predict whatever APEK predict dia bagus in prediction.
Yeah, that is my question.
Yeah. So I nak tanya APEK nak tanya you are good in fortune teller, you are good in prediction.
Half of my case now the pro bono, I think Andy got a hello.
Okay. Ya, line kurang baik. Kalau pro bono line kurang baik.
Hello. Okay.
Yeah.
Your question, what do we say again?
Okay, good. I know, I understand that you are more, you are pro.
What's the question again?
Okay, my question is APEK. My question, maybe our last question before we end this session. You are very good in fortune telling. You are very good in prediction. You are very good in forecasting. Now, can we ask, through your knowledge, through your wisdom, who will be our next tourism minister?
Ayo, ni lah.
Itu macam kalau dia boleh tahu soalan Prime Minister malam ni dia tidur, Pak Long pun tak tahu. Pak Long pun tak tahu siapa dia dah bagi.
Dia lantik saya, sentor lantik saya.
Apa yang bagi Pak Long main nama kepada dia lah. Sore telefon Pak Long lah. Pak Long tengah sakit kepala, dia bagi siapa?
Tapi Zihau very good. APEK ni very good forecasting. Dia expert lah. It's proven. Through my friendship with APEK banyak kali dia memang betul predict betul-betul lah. Kalau saya ikut nombor 4 digit dia pun boleh predict lah. Tapi saya mau tahu malam ini, saya mau tahu sebelum saya tidur siapa Menteri Pelancongan yang baru?
Okay.
Kita
Before that, I think Andy got a question. Andy MAH got a question.
Yeah. Okay, same question, also predictor. How do you think about this pandemic? Are we going to live with the virus, and how to gain the confidence to all these local or traveler back to normal live with no virus?
Okay, more complicated question, but I will answer exactly a bit question first.
Yeah.
Kena jawapan dia tadi tu, Tansi Nur Hisam.
Seriously, I don't know. I don't know the pointer, I don't know the calculation, and I don't know how the dynamics between the Perikatan Nasional Party will be now. So but there is a more important thing about predicting who will be the tourism minister. It's for me, tak kisah siapapun, benda yang sama saja. You know what I mean? From Din ke Sapi to Wabi Nasi to whoever that, you won't get what you want lah. Be it unless Pak Long sendiri jadi Perdana Menteri merangkap Menteri Pelancongan, there won't be any differences lah. Seriously, in many ways.
Saya tokong.
Unless Pak Long jadi yeah. So because a there was even for promotion, but the promotion part was determined by a body, a jawatan kuasa, what sender or don't know what they think. And then his only power, actually, I read through the entire Akta Pelancongan, the Akta Penggalakan Pelancongan, his only power is to approve appeal of the failed license application. You apply for license, is the jawatan kuasa yang approve, dan Pesuruhjaya Pelancongan, which is the Secretary General. If you fail that one, you appeal to the minister. Pretty much that only. Compared to his counterpart in Menteri Perdagangan dan Menteri Dalam Negeri ke, dulu tak powerful minister, because according to the Akta, dia boleh tangkap orang, dia boleh apa, satu signature dia boleh buat ni. So for me, whoever become the minister of tourism, it won't be any marked changes unless the person is merancang Menteri Pelancongan, which I hope to see lah. Because that's the next thing to do for Malaysia, where tourism is about 8 to 9% of our GDP before the pandemic. It's really a big thing. So answer Andy's question, what I foresee will happen is that this pandemic we have to live with it already, because I have this hope that the pandemic will end before they come up with the Beta variant, the Delta variant, and all these variants coming in. So what will happen next in the years to come? You will have a group of people around the world, more than 50%, they already meluat and walk with the situation, and they don't care already, and they will cut to travel. You can see the trend in Italy, you can see the trend in America. They don't really care already. Kalau mati-mati lah, they know that they already have this double dose of vaccination. They know that only 5% of those who already have double dose COVID will get to stage 3. 99.5% will not get to stage 3. Only demam dan juga sakit kerongkong saja. They don't care already. They will live with my estimation will be 7 to 8 months from now when you have a break.
Oh, line very bad.
Yeah. Line very bad. I think line sudah disappeared.
Yeah, line very bad. Very bad. Very bad. Anyway, we're waiting for him.
Yeah, just wait for him.
End the
Yeah.
session.
Yeah.
So if you have any questions, last questions to him, we're waiting for him. Kami nak he's
came back. Yeah.
He's here now. Zihao, go ahead, Zihao. Continue. Your line is getting bad.
Yeah. Continue.
And the line getting. I hope you won't be. You sound like a robot. You're not a robot.
Ada slow motion.
No, he was cut off a little while just now.
Halfway, I thought they come on to cut me off again. No, so what you should prepare yourself is a business model, a very conventional business model of downsizing, of restructuring, and all the things that you cannot do when you are at your peak. If you cannot sustain, for my prediction is 7-8 months, but actually I don't know lah. So if you cannot sustain for another 7 to 8 months, I'm very sorry. Maybe this industry is not for you. But if you can sustain, you can restructure, you can change your style of doing things, you can diversify your investment. For example, the hoteler invest in restaurant. For example, travel agency invest in vehicles. For example, vehicles owner invest in chauffeur, invest in other services, invest in tying up and all these things. Now is the time.
Alright.
So Andy, MAH is very great answer, because this is a pandemic unforeseen. The last time we have this pandemic was 1920, they have this Spanish influenza. But
Then we don't have like quarantine hotel as well.
Yes.
Quarantine hotel, yeah. So there are so many.
I think got a lot of thing banyak lagi kita boleh ubah.
So the short answer to Andy
CMAH concern is that I foresee that in 7 and 8 months time things will resume to 80% before, and the reason being is that people memuat already and the vaccine comes in and the death rate is low for those who have second or third dose. So that is the answer to
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Zihao. Thank you.
Thank you.
Dan nampaknya Andy, we have to wait for 7 to 8 months to start up in our industry, tourism industry. But
No. Sorry, I kena tambah sikit. Tak boleh. Kita jangan tunggu 7-8 bulan. We have to start area by area.
Yeah.
Like currently, our former Prime Minister is doing very good. Now phase 1 we already open.
Yeah.
Like F&B also already open before. F&B already open. It's under this WC track. Then I think they join our meeting as well. Hafiz is the head of that. You will all not really know about the SOP. I think you can invite him to this stage. Tuan Hanif, to this about the WC track HQ Putrajaya. Then I think phase 1 a lot of things already start open. Then further it's like what they call it KL. Wilayah Persekutuan, KL. We already 85% vaccinated. So we can start from there. Area by area. That's why I say you shouldn't waiting for the whole country. Like America, what they do, Las Vegas, I mean yang tempat yang betul utama tau. Mereka start tau. Some area in US are still vaccination very low, vaccinated maybe 30-40%. They still lock down or whatever certain thing dia belum buat tau. So like Las Vegas is a big city and the productivity though. That's why we need I think we have to help our industry player. We focus by area, So we have to link this thing to the government, even the new government as well, Kita tengok macam mana cara lah. I don't think kita 7-8 bulan. I think we can start now.
Fantastic, Dato' Andy. Fantastic. Thank you. Time is against us, and it's getting late, and it's very entertaining and interesting session tonight. Andy?
Yes.
Session.
Very good.
Belajar dari Zihao.
I see got Prime Minister join us.
Yeah, I see the
betul.
It's a fake one.
Oh, itu dahsyat tu.
Invite our Prime Minister to say a few words lah.
PM.
The Prime Minister with ada Chinese punya article.
Yalah, itu fake one.
Thank you, Zihao. Love you so much.
Yeah, thank you, Apek. Good night.
Wish all the best. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Apek. Safe to get me also. Always time.
Okay, I want to visit Badru.
Tepukan soalan. Tepukan pada
Apek.
Yeah. Tepukan pada Apek.
I hope that I didn't bore you all for 2 hours lah.
No, not at all.
Banyak lagi nak belajar lagi. Jadi guys, thank you very much for attending this session. To meet Andy, Raisa, Jason, Badrul, Zahira, Dato' Noh, Aaron, Shazlin, and also all the press Pajan from the Raisa from Langkawi pun ada sini, Pajan. We have so many here, so we really appreciate your time here with us. You give us a lot of input and suggestions to APEK, and maybe we can learn a lot of things. Tapi saya sangat frust APEK tak kasih jawapan siapa so malam ni tak dapat tidur lah.
Oh dia. Okay, macam pun nak keluar satu nama kan. Okay. Saya calonkan
Syed Siddiq.
Ada empat itu dia. Itu cadangan daripada Zihao daripada APEK Cina. Ada yang setuju, ada yang tak setuju, tidak apa, kita tunggu PM. PM announce.
Kita minum air dulu. Minum air suam. Kena minum air suam.
Air suam.
Target 500 negara punya pelancong.
Terima kasih APEK. Terima kasih semua. We hope to see you again. All the best to you. Tapi stay safe and semoga semua kita jauhkan penyakit dan virus COVID ini. Jadi jangan lupa hari Isnin ni kita ada Pekeso. Kita ada post daripada Pekeso akan cerita bagaimana Pekeso membantu industri pelancongan. Monday night, don't forget Monday night.
Thank you. Good night. Good night, everybody. Thank you, everybody. Yeah, thank you, Zihao. Thank you, Apek. Thank you. 很香啊，你的那个豆是吧？almond 啊。